This is it. This is the historical, the scriptural, the biblical, the authentic, the real Jerusalem, the one that went through the 70 AD destruction by Titus Vespasian. This is it here. This is how it looks. This is its shape. This is its topology. This is the real Jerusalem of history. This is it here, the burntness, the residue of Jerusalem was what we're looking at. And as Josephus said, Jerusalem has been thoroughly laid, leveled to the ground. And that's what we see here. Upon immediate notice, we notice that Jerusalem fulfilled prophecy. In Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 11, it says that Jerusalem and Judah will be left desolate and uninhabited. And that's what we're looking at here. A fulfillment of prophecy. Desolate and uninhabited. Now this is completely contrary to the Jerusalem in the Middle East. That one is alive and thriving with a population over 1 million people, which is in complete violation of Scripture. But this one here, this one fulfilled Scripture. As we see here, it is empty, uninhabited, and desolate, and thoroughly burnt, thoroughly laid, level to the ground. And Jerusalem is divided into two parts. It sits on two hills or mountains. This here, this is the first hill, the first mountain. All of this, as well as the original Jerusalem. This is called the Old City. The second hill or mountain is all of this here. This is the second hill and mountain. Looking at the first hill, the Old City, this is how the original Jerusalem looked during the time of King David when he defeated the Jebusites. This is its shape. This is how it looked. This is how it looked when Solomon built the temple. This is also how it looked when Nehemiah reconstructed the walls of Jerusalem. This is how it looked. This is its shape here. Zooming in on Jerusalem. Starting here, let's look at the Dung Gate. From here all the way up here. This is called Mount Ophel. Mount Ophel. These lines here, these are pathways, two pathways. And some believe that Mount Ophel is sits between these two pathways. Others believe the Mount Ophel extends the entire region. What is certain is that this section here, whether it's between the pathways or the entire region, we know that this is Mount Ophel. Part of the Mount Ophel section, this part right here, this is called the Citadel. This is where David had his headquarters. This is the Citadel. As time went on, the Jews referred to the entire region of Mount Ophel as the Citadel. And north of the Mount Ophel in this section here, first this is Mount Moriah. This is the historical mountain, the real mountain, Mount Moriah. This is how it looks. You're viewing the real thing. Looking at this through center light. Now it has been burnt. This is the residue of what is left of Mount Moriah. Right here. This is where the temple was. And you are looking at fulfilled prophecy. As Christ said, there will not be one stone on top of the other, and that's what you're seeing here. Prophecy fulfilled. This is where the temple was. The temple was built on the threshing floor of Arana. And he was a real historical person. North of that, let's go over here. This is where the pools of Bethesda. Look at it right over here. There are huge pools, and more than one. You see the people, they bring the sheep in through the sheep gate, and they bring them to the pools, clean them up, get them prepared and ready for sacrifice. Now, north of the pools, over here, this is where the Antonia fortress is. And again, we're looking at the actual thing. This is not a drawing, this is not a picture, this is not a copy. This is the actual thing, the real historical Jerusalem, with many of its features left, but they are burnt to a crisp. But this is the compound of the Antonia fortress. Look at it right here. This is where Pilate had his headquarters. The Antonia fortress, it included the Praetorium. The Praetorium with the Praetorian guards. This is where Jesus was scourged and flagged. And a crown of thorns was placed on his head. All of that happened right here in the Antonia fortress. And let's go south of Mount Moriah to this mountain. One of the most famous mountains. Everyone heard of Mount Zion. Well, this is its location. This is the real historical Mount Zion right here inside Jerusalem. And all of this here, this piece is a mountain as well. This is what Josephus called a horn-shaped moon, and it does resemble that, the crest of a moon with the horn piece there. This is called the Acra. Acra, there are features, buildings built on top of this mountain that are long gone. And over here, this is Herod's place. This is the residue of his palace. You're actually looking at the residue of Herod's palace. Look at it there. And all of this section here is what Josephus called Bezetha, the new city. Jerusalem was divided into a new city. All of this and the old city. And all of this. As well as an upper city and a lower city. Now that's the original Mount Zion. Over here is the new Mount Zion. Right there, and next to the new Mount Zion was the upper room. Now Jerusalem has three main valleys. The first valley runs along the east wall. This is called the Kidron Valley. And it runs from there all the way to the Dead Sea. Now we cannot see the course that the Kidron Valley takes all the way to the Dead Sea due to the satellite. The satellite is blocking our view from seeing the terrain of Judah. But this is the Kidron Valley that runs along the eastern wall of Jerusalem. The next valley starts on the western wall over here and runs along the southern wall, and it extends northeast. But for the same thing, we cannot see that extension due to the blockage of the satellite. The third valley starts here, and this one runs through the city. This is called the Valley of the Cheesemongers. This valley here is the Hinnom Valley. So there are three main valleys that Jerusalem has: the Kidron Valley, the Valley of the Cheesemongers, and Hinnom Valley. Also, Jerusalem is set and surrounded by two mountain ranges. This is one here along the eastern wall, and this mountain range consists of three mountains. The second mountain range starts on the northern wall, extends to here. Starting with the first mountain range, the first mountain on the first mountain range is Mount Corruption, then Mount of Olives and Mount Scopus. Of these three, only Mount of Olives and Mount of Corruption, these two, are mentioned in Scripture. We learn of Mount Scopus through the writings of Josephus, where he informs us that part of the Roman army, they went on top of the Mount Scopus and camped there so that they can get a good, clear view of the destruction and burning of the temple. Hence the name Scopus, which means to view, to watch, to see, to look out. On the Mount of Olives, part of that mountain consisted of cemeteries, and at the foothill of Mount of Olives, this is where you will find the Garden of Gethsemane located there, and this line here that represents a ramp. There was a ramp constructed here that extends from Mount of Olives to the eastern wall of Jerusalem. And over here there were the pools of Siloam here, Solomon's pool, Jacob's well. There are many pools all around Jerusalem. One of the main purposes of the pools is to catch rainwater for use in temple service, among other things. This is a quick, short, and concise view of Jerusalem. These two terms, Agisimba and Jerusalem, they're important. Agisimba is historical, whereas Jerusalem is not. Jerusalem is modern. Keep in mind there was no letter J until the 15th century. That means the people never identified this city as Jerusalem. Agasimba, on the other hand, is historical. There's a geographer named Marinus. There's another geographer named Ptolemy. Ptolemy was telling this story of Marinus. Marinus took an expedition to Africa, to South Africa. He went past the equator, and he went past the Tropic of Capricorn to the interiors of Africa. And that's where he found out from the people that this land is Agasimba. Agasimba is Bantu, that means land of the lion. So we have this historical piece behind the word Agasimba. That's a historical term from the mouths and tongue of the people themselves. It lets us know that the people identify this city and land as Agasimba, land of the lion. And that is consistent with the location, because we are in the tribe of Judah, and Judah is said to be a lion according to scripture. But this is Jerusalem, the actual Jerusalem here. This is how it looks. This is its shape. This is its topology, the real Jerusalem. This is our city, and this is our land.